Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel S2T. In today's show, Future Friday, we're gonna talk about health monitoring. So let's dive right into it. Now, first thing you have to understand that if there is any sector that is big, that is huge, it's health sector. Health sector is so huge that you will be surprised that you combine most sectors, they still outpass it. It's like it's huge. It's ludicrously big. Now, the demand for health sector is also growing up exponentially. There are two primary reasons for that. First, our population is growing, which is good. Then we are living longer, which is good. And both of them are taxing our health system because more and more people are being added, but lesser and they are lasting longer. So health requirements are going drastically up. So it's like earlier you needed one hospital, now you need 500 hospital per large city. So things have escalated, so to say. And this is one thing that money cannot buy. Like you can buy health treatments, but you cannot buy health. So right now our technology, quote unquote, it's in such a place where it's like, okay, something bad happened. Let's say you had damage with your spine. What we can do right now is we can lock that damage to that point. It's like, okay, let's say it was damaged to 50%. It's not gonna get any more damage. We're gonna stop it there. You have blood pressure, we cannot fix it, but we can lock it down to that level. It's like, okay, it's not gonna get any worse and you're not gonna go basically die because of that. So we reached that point. However, we cannot go to like, okay, you have this issue, we're gonna fix it. We are not there yet. That is why people specify money cannot buy health, even though it can buy the best doctor there is. Now, the problem aspect of it is something much more deeper at this point in time, simply because many people have a very poor context of life, basically life expectancy, and it's not their fault simply because the science and history do not teach us that. It's that the harsh reality of it is that pre-industrial revolution, you would be lucky if you made out to 30, not because like oh you crossed 31, it's like that's not the case. The reason was that something else will kill you, one way or the another, one infection or the another, or just so many wars. Like people think world wars are huge. That's absolutely the only difference was there was so many people fighting at the one time. Now before that, before you go before World War era, hundreds of people were fighting. Millions of wars were happening. It was just small scale every town. Like your town could be sieged one day and it could be sieged again, like 2 years down the road or 8 years down the road. So death was everywhere. So our mathematical mean average was 30 years, roughly say. And that is why you hear people say like 30 years is one, quote unquote, one generation. Then industrial revolution happened, the people dying started to slow down, then we started to pull up, then vaccines got introduced. So over let's say 1500 years, we went from 30, that 30 to 60 took the longest, from 60 to 90. Right now in that phase, at aka 90-year phase, we are living very long life. So we tripled our life expectancy in like very quickly, because vaccines and better medical care allowed us to live ludicrously long very quickly. So like literally during India's independence, the average expected lifespan of Indians were around 70. Right now it's around much higher than that. So we are living very long life and tangibly longer life. Now, we reached a point where diseases are no longer our worst enemy. We no longer have like, oh, polio is killing your child, or chickenpox is killing people, or hepatitis, or this or that. We are no longer in that phase. That was like enemy level number one. We got that. We are like, we got this, bro. You're not an issue. We got this, and that is why the Ebola scare was not such an issue. It's like we got this. We handled it. Like we got this. However, the biggest issue right now, medically speaking, is our breakdown. Basically, our body is same architecture as chimpanzees and apes and all that. So problem is inherently it's not designed to last 100 years. So things breaks down. Like I give you a simple example. What broke down inside me is my spine. Now what happened to me? Like did I hit a car accident or something bad? No, I was sitting in a chair inappropriately and boom, my spine is like, okay, I'm out, peace out. Now the only thing doctors could do is like reduce the damage. Like they could be like, okay, this is your damage, we're gonna lock it down there. Thankfully it was not so severe that I did not need surgery, but it was manageable. So things like that happen to all of us. It's like something inside you will break down. Maybe it's a basically anti-friction pad between your knees that could wear down. You could have a scenario where heart gets damaged. Something like that happens. We have chronic issues basically, or your blood system is no longer working properly, or your muscles are not working properly, or your nervous system is not working. Like we have breakdowns. We no longer have like, oh, this disease is hurting us. We have like, oh, your blood glucose management system is no longer working. We have breakdowns as an issue right now, not diseases. So what does that lead us to? Basically, if you are in a scenario where you don't have diseases to deal with, you have a very slow and painful old life ahead of you. Basically, you must have seen this right now. It's like you have some old people who are like, they're living, but it's not living, so to say. It's like, do you really want to live like that? Like if I showed you the people like, old and basically aged kind of scenario, many people will be like scared of it. It's like, dude, I don't want to be in that position. And I can understand it's not living. It's just like, yeah, you are alive. That's it. So people don't want that. And the irony of it, the problem, what like really hurts us is that we can cure it if we knew. Basically, at this point in time, as a human, as a species, as a medical technology, we are like, we can solve everything. It's like, to give you a simple example, HIV, again, ask your doctor to double check it. HIV is curable if you know when you were infected. Basically, let's say you went into blood bank and they give you a blood and like something happened, or you found out next day in the news that that blood was infected and all that. You went to a doctor, they run some tests like, bro, you have I think HIV is there. So you are done? No. We can be like, okay, we're gonna flush your system. There is a whole procedure for that. If it is done with like exposure is accurate, you must know when you got infected. And there is a very tiny window, it's like 72-hour long window. So let's say in 48th hour you got that treatment, doctor got it, like everything is on fire, everything is like, okay, we're gonna do this now, you have the money, you got the insurance and all that, they can flush your system. To give a context for that, that means you will not have HIV. Basically, that one flushing will take care of it. You no longer will be lifelong medication on HIV. So we know that. Like imagine every Tom, Dick and Harry can do that. Like you got infected, or you even think there is a probability of that. Or after every intercourse, you can be like testing. Okay, there is a probability. I'm getting my system purged. Like literally, we can in let's say 10-20 years we can remove HIV. So we have that technology. Blood pressure. If you knew blood pressure is happening before your body is damaging, if medication is applied at that point before it gets permanently damaged, it's like ain't nobody got time for that. It's like and same happens with the spine damage. It's like, oh, your back pain is starting to happen, and you can instantly detect, okay, there is some serious damage here. You can easily go to a doctor. The doctor can recommend you some exercise that can stretch away your bones, and like if there is an issue, inflammation and all that, they can deal with it right there, and it's quite amazing. So that's the painful part. It's like we can make our lives much more smoother if we knew it. Basically, right now we don't have issues like, oh, you got this infection in your tongue. It's like, yeah, your heart is failing. Oh yeah, your blood system is not working. Oh, your glucose system is not working. Your insulin architecture is not working. You get there. Like we have so many breakdowns, and many of the breakdowns are fixable if we knew it early. Like when I was in school, cancer equals death. Right now, 2 members of my family got cancer, and it was like, yeah, dealt with, because even though it was quote unquote late diagnostics, we still reached a point where it was like not too late, so it could be managed. That's the irony of it. It's like we can solve so many problems if we knew. Knowledge is the key here. So the biggest trend at this point in time is that diagnostic. How the heck are you going to diagnose it? The primary fluid by which we do diagnostic is blood. Now, problem with blood is that we cannot afford blood testing. And when I say afford, I do not mean financially, I mean physically. If you have seen a complete thorough blood testing, I'm not talking about like, okay, this specific thing, then they need a very little amount of blood. But if you want to do comprehensive testing, where like you are admitting in the hospital first time, they do not know what's wrong with you, they're going to do comprehensive, like complete 100% scan of your blood, then they're going to take vials and vials and vials of blood. And like I'm talking minimum 3 vials, and it's painful. On top of that, it's not something you can do again and again. It's not something you can do like every week. It's like blood donation takes your body like very long time to recharge, like not very long, but you get the point. There is a recharge time. Now imagine you need this kind of blood screening every week. Yeah, you take from that. So we cannot afford this kind of blood test. And not to mention the science is there, the technology is there. The problem right now, it's inefficiency. We are not very efficient with the technology that we got right now. However, many people are already working on it, and first improvements I'm reasonably sure you must have seen is that we have finger prick kind of technologies where you can actually reliably get blood glucose level. Now you may say that's only one vector. That's absolutely true, but there are some systems that are in development right now that can give you 10-20. Now that's nowhere near where you can get like 300 or that, but it's better than one. And if you have 10 vectors of telling you like what your general health is, they can narrow down what diagnostics you're gonna need. Like they can narrow it, like, okay, instead of this zone you have issue in this zone, now only do the blood testing for that zone. That saves a lot of blood. So we have to become efficient. We do not have any issues like, oh, we do not know what to do. No, we know it, we got this. Like it's under control. We just have to become efficient. It's like, your mobile phone in like very early on also had the same battery as compared to your current mobile phone. Only difference is your current mobile is much more efficient with it. So it's like you could have 10 watt hour battery in your very old mobile phone versus your current Samsung Galaxy Ultra. It could be more or less the same 10 watt hour, more likely or less. So we have to become efficient. Now there are some very painful and sad exploitation of this, and you must have heard about Theranos. But again, the technology is sound. We are working on it, we are refining it, and we are becoming improved to a point where people with tangible experience are telling we are literally 5 to 10 years from second gen of these puppies. And we're gonna have a point where like 10-20 steps of verification would be done, and then you're gonna have, at least in lab, rather than needing this, they're gonna do first a preliminary test, and after that preliminary test they're like, okay, we only need 1 vial of blood rather than like 4 or 5. So lab on a chip is the next evolution of miniaturization technology. Basically, how we miniaturize processors, we're gonna miniaturize the lab. It can be done. Physics is not stopping us. Now that's blood. Again, blood is serious thing. You do not take blood lightly. Even pin pricking. And now imagine doing pin pricking 4 or 5 times a day, for like every day till you live. That's painful. And I've provided the video down below where you can see people, diabetics people are like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this is way too painful. And you may like, hey, that's pen prick hundreds of times. That's really painful. So they're buying instruments that directly put a needle, quote unquote, a sensor in their bloodstream directly, and that way they can get continuous blood glucose measurement without pin pricking. Now that's true, absolutely, it works amazingly. Now that would be what we classify as surface level. So it's not harming you in such a way where it's gonna drain blood from you, but it's still gonna give you very accurate results. There are many biosignatures like that, and one of which you must be aware of. It's like urination and testing pregnancy. It works. It's a known technology. It's just that there are so many vectors in this. Like, oh, you can test this also. Like, I'll give you a simple example. How about testing the glucose level of a person? You're like, what the hell? Tada! This is a system that utilizes your saliva to do your blood glucose testing. No pin pricks needed. It's a real device. It's soon will be released in the market. Right now it's available. It's just too expensive right now. But you get the point. It's a real technology. It's here. And more people are jumping into it to refine it, to double check it, quadruple check it. And once it reaches the open market and competitive market, price will drop. So there are so many things that can be done just by without even touching your blood, that it's quite amazing. Recently I have provided the TED talks down below where you can see just by taking fluid from your skin. I'm talking skin fluid, not blood. Skin has it's the biggest organ in your body. It has more than enough circulation things going around. If you can get that fluid out of and you can analyze it properly, it can tell you so many data that we thought was useless, but now with the current analysis we're like, dude, that's telling us this is gonna happen, and it happens after a while. So you're getting it. Like, there is so much data that we are not collecting it now, because it can allow us to precurse the data. It's like, okay, cancer cells, when that happens, they start to send out certain RNA. That RNA triggers a certain response from your skin cell. If you knew that, you can know that person is gonna have cancer before they are like start coughing blood. So you have to understand that there is so much data there. If we can analyze out, like analyzing pH level, analyzing skin temperature, hundreds of things that can be done, which you will think right now is no longer issue, simply because we do not have disease like where you're like, okay, you have this disease, that means your skin pH level will be right. It's not there, because right now our medication is like, okay, you are about to die, then you go to hospital. It's like, oh, your fever is too high, it's been there like 3-4 days, then you go to hospital. So there is a lot of precursor data. If we can collect it, analyze it without harming the individual, and I'll give you a simple example like this Philips right now available. It's something that there is a very good chance one of you may have used it. If they're gonna give you this patch, and it's non-invasive, there is no needle in this. It's that they just patch it there, and the whole data is relayed to the hospital medical system, and all it does is like measures your heart rate, accelerometer, and all that jazz. What does that mean? That simply means if the patient starts to suffer a stroke, you can be instantly sure. Like you do not have to be like somebody sees it, or if the person presses something, or the blood oxygen level goes down too low, then the alarm triggers. This will detect as it's happening. So benefit of that, it will reduce the time of doctor to the patient. That gap will be less. Instead of 10 minutes would be 1 minute. That is life saving. So this sort of devices are already in hospitals. Already people are using it. So imagine we collect insane amount of data out of it, like gigabytes per second kind of data out of it, and combine all of them. What can we do with them? So right now, this technology can allow us a very good early warning system. Now, we are talking about data, and you have to understand that if you had any people who are dealing with diabetes, especially children, you must know the headache of dealing with, like, noting it down anywhere reliable. You have to note it down because you have to show it to the doctor. It's like, throughout the week, that's how my kids are performing, and you can find out, like, hey, in Saturday, Sunday, they are not doing too much, so your blood sugar level is off balance, or something like that could be found there. You have to know this, like, you have to collect data over a period of time. Now, if you are talking about this kind of instrument that can be quote unquote automated, that can be on your body all the time, 24 into 7, you're talking about data bandwidth will go from, like, okay, your body temperature every 2 hours to, like, body temperature 24 into 7. So the moment that 24 into 7 happens, the data requirement, or you will go from 1 or 2 megabytes to 500 megabytes or gigabytes. So we have to create a new level of EMR, electronic medical record. Right now, our electronic medical records is low level. We have to make it to the next level where it can handle that kind of data. So the data would be like, this is data of 1 week before entering into hospital of your normal technology, like, Fitbit, heart rate monitors, things of that nature. Then this is like the high bit data of, like, exactly every single measurable thing in that week in the hospital, then afterwards. So that amount of high data requires a large amount of infrastructure upgrade. Basically, servers have to be improved, the whole ecosystem has to be created and secured, and then AI will do its magic. Because right now the data could be so huge, it could be like, dude, there are many diseases that have overlapping symptoms, and it's a hell of a headache for a doctor to deal with. Many times they just try to treat for the both because it's really tedious. Ask any doctor, it's like, how many diseases have overlapping systems? The answer would be all of them. So imagine AI goes through all this kind of, this is an imaginary scenario, but let's say it finds out, like, pH level on this disease would be 1% lower than this disease. That would be amazing. That would be like, whoa. Like, if you can narrow down false positives, if you can narrow down, like, this exact disease, I am reasonably sure you have it, you can make your treatment fine tune. The damage to your body, if done, like, done because of maltreatment or incorrect treatment, is serious. So it's not something that, like, oh, it's not so much of a deal. It's a big deal. So AI can sort through that kind of data. Can a human do that? No, simply because human will not live long enough. You're gonna talking about, like, 24 into 7 data for, like, hundreds of patients or even millions of patients. That amount of data cannot be sipped through humans. So new links and causation would be made. Like, we will not even think about it. Right now, there will be no literature that will match up what we're gonna have after 10 years. We're like, oh, if your skin, this has happens after 5 years, do that, like, check for every 5 days continuously, and 6th day you can be damn sure that this person is gonna deal with this or is gonna have this kind of issue. So there are many unknown basically links and causation that we will not found, because it will be there in the data, but how the heck you're gonna extract that data out of? So we're gonna need AI for that. And you have to understand that the core reason why I specified this is such a big deal is, right now we cannot do reverse gear. It's like, oh, you have damage, okay, we're gonna lock it there. It's like we apply brakes to our car. Once we do that, once we reach to a point where we can do prediction, we can apply reverse gear, quote unquote. Basically, what you're doing is, before the car accident happens, you apply brake before that. It's like your mobile phone is gonna remember, hey bro, I think your liver is, like, acting up, please go to a doctor. So the amount of data we're gonna gather, it's gonna become exponentially better, simply because more and more and more and more people will add to it. More and more refined, accurate, precise data we're gonna get out of it. So what we can expect in the future? Again, this episode is Future Friday. So you have to understand this. At this point, as in 2020, we are in development phase. Things have been made in labs, things have been done, and we know for a fact the science is there. It's like, math is there, math checks out, the engineering checks out, we got this. Like, things can be done. So we are developing. Then we're gonna go into large scale testing. As I specified, that saliva based blood glucose system will soon hit the market, or there is a very good chance it's already in the market, but only for rich people. But right now it's very expensive. So again, once we have large scale testing, we're gonna go to huge data gathering. Now, huge data gathering is necessary because, again, our current medical infrastructure is not built for handling, like, big data like Google. So that has to be upgraded. After that, we're gonna do testing prediction models, like, AI doctors, all that jazz will come around, and it's like, okay, we think this individual is 89% likely of developing cancer in next 2 years. After 2 years, the person comes in like, bro, I have cancer. Okay, once we reach that, the point where you're gonna predicting and reliably checking it, it's like, okay, we had this prediction and it's 99% accurate, then we're gonna have a healthier future. That would be the end goal. That would be around 2070, and we're gonna have that where it's like, cancer will become, who cares? Because right now, I'm like, cancer went from a horror story in my school life to like something that two family members had, and it's like dealt with. And same will happen with blood pressure, sugar, diabetes, I think they are same, but you get the point. It's something manageable. Once we have a prediction capability, we can stop health from deteriorating. We're like, bro, apply brakes now. So that will lead to amazing thing. Not some nanotechnology which is gonna do like magically repair our thing. I'm not talking about repairing. I'm talking apply brakes before it gets bad. Imagine thinking this way, like a normal sensor you're gonna have in your watch, and that detects is like, hey, dude, your spine is in bad position. Go to a doctor now before you're like me, stupid like me, and like I suffered the pain, because by the time you receive the pain and it's like repeating every day, yeah, it's too late by that point. So most things in medical industry is like that. Yeah, you're detecting it's too late. So removing that statement too late is gonna save us all. So I'm quite optimistic about the future. So this was my presentation on health technologies in the future. I hope you liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I'd urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me an extra disappointment, and please leave a comment because I try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.